Hi everyone, Caitlin O'Shaughnessy here. I'm a senior attorney at Murray Osorio, and today I wanted to give you some of my tips for preparing for an I-730 consular interview. So a couple of related videos that you might also want to watch are my video on the complete guide to I-730s, and that video will help you understand all of the steps to actually preparing and filing the I-730, first with USCIS, and then explains how it goes through the process. After approval, you'll go to the National Visa Center, and then ultimately it goes to the embassy. At that point, usually the embassy will reach out, giving you instructions on how to schedule an interview or giving you an interview date, and then you have to go to your interview. This video is directed at the actual people in the home country who will be attending the interview. So generally speaking, that's spouses and kids. In some situations, you might also have a situation where just kids have to go to an interview on their own. So like older kids, like teenagers, that happens for. Same if the parents are split up and the asylee is just petitioning for the kids, or if both parents are abroad and the kids are going alone. Generally speaking, if a parent goes with the kids, the majority of the consular officer's questions are going to be directed at the parent, although all children should be prepared to answer certain basic questions from the consular officer. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about which questions your kids should be prepared to answer. Every child, as long as they can talk, should be able to answer basic questions in an age-appropriate way, such as what's your name? And so, if your kid is like 8 years old or whatever, she doesn't need to give her full name. She can just say, my name is Jane, or my name is Caitlin, or whatever. But all kids should also know their birth date if that's age appropriate for them. And a common question that children will get, even when a parent is present, is, so let's say they go with their mom. The question might be, where does your dad live? So the dad is the asylee in the United States, or vice versa. If mom is the asylee, where does your mom live? Most children should be able to answer that question with a state and a country. So the kids should be able to say whatever's true, like my dad lives in Maryland in the United States. They don't need to give a street address. They don't need to give a lot of details, but they need to know the basic situation of, like, my parent is in the United States. A lot of times kids will also get the question of, why are you going to the USA? And again, based on the age of the child, have the child give an appropriate answer, but it can just be simple: to live with my mom, or to go live with my dad, or because my dad is there. Sometimes, not always, the consular officer might ask, why is your mom or your dad in the United States? And a lot of asylees get really nervous about this question because they say, I don't want to tell my kids like what happened to me, this persecution I faced. And you definitely do not have to. So don't worry about that. There's no need for your child to know about the persecution that their parent faced, or to go into any kind of detail about that. It's not going to be asked. Generally, what I explain for my child clients to answer is what's true for them. So why is your mom or dad in the United States? And really little kids, like little might just be like, my dad lives there, or something like, a bad thing happened to my mom and she lives there now. That's all. They don't need to know anything else than that. For older children who actually do know what happened, like if you have teenagers who, saw dad get detained or whatever, then it's also fine for that teen to say, the government arrested my dad or my mom, and now he or she can't live at home with us. Generally, the answers that you give, they have to be age appropriate for the child, but don't stress thinking like, oh, I have to explain all the details of my asylum case to my kid, because you definitely don't. Another question that a lot of children will get is, what are you going to do in the United States? And again, age appropriate answer. There are a variety of appropriate answers, whatever is true for your child. So for one child, it might be like, I'm going to go live with my mom, or I'm going to go live with my dad, or I'm going to go to the United States and become an astronaut or a ballerina or a firefighter. Like whatever kid appropriate answer happens, like that's fine. Other really common answers are go to school, learn English, things like that. But generally speaking, we want the consular officer to have the sense that the child has a base level of knowledge that they're going to the United States to be reunited with a parent. That's really all that you need to do to prepare your kids for the interview. Another important thing is documentary evidence. And so when you work with our firm, before you send your loved one off to the consulate or the embassy, we're going to give them a package of documents that they can bring with them so that it meets all of the documentary requirements of whichever consulate or embassy they happen to be at. Okay, so hopefully that was helpful, and we will bring you another video next week.